Hi, some thoughts for today, the fifth Sunday in Trinity. Why on earth doesn't Jesus just tell us like it is? Why doesn't he just tell it to us straight? Why does he keep wrapping things up in little stories and parables? Once there was a famous rabbi who loved to illustrate a truth by means of a story. One day, his students asked him why he adopted this approach. He replied, "The best way to answer your question is through a story." He began. There was a time when truth went around naked and unadorned. The people shied away from him and gave him no welcome. So truth wandered through the land, rejected and unwanted. One day, very disconsolate, he met Story, strolling along happily dressed in a multicolored robe. "Truth, why are you so sad?" asked Story. "I'm sad because I'm so old and ugly that everybody avoids me." Truth replied, "Nonsense," laughed Story. "That is not why people avoid you. Here, borrow my robe and see what happens." So Truth donned Story's multicolored robe, and everywhere he went, he was welcomed. The rabbi concluded, "The fact is, people are unable to face the naked truth. They much prefer the truth disguised and dressed up." We all know that the truth can be very painful sometimes, and we are just not able to take the naked truth. We hear people say, "Well, I tell people straight, don't beat about the bush, me." But when they're on the receiving end, it's a very different story. We have to be very gentle with the truth sometimes. So why does Jesus use parables so much? Jesus uses them when he finds himself in direct confrontation with people, especially the scribes, the Pharisees, and the doctors of the law. All these guys would have been ever present and taking notes wherever and whenever he spoke. Jesus does not want to use direct confrontation and point the finger at them and say, "The trouble with you guys is." He knows that approach, the naked truth, the bare facts, would damage or destroy any possible relationship. He wants to reach them as much as anyone else. So just as a penny candle can help to find a gold coin or a priceless pearl, so a short story can hold a great truth and enable its listeners to get to the heart of that truth in their own time, in their own way. So Jesus took the everyday things of everyday life, in this case a seed, to illustrate his point. The seed, such a fragile and vulnerable thing, the soil which nurtured the stuff of life. One is nothing without the other. And Jesus hopes that every time a seed falls through their fingers into a carefully prepared soil, that the words of his story and its message would come back to them. A chance again to relive, retell the story, and to rediscover its truth. I can remember once I left the airport and went into the parish ministry full time. Then school assemblies became a priority. I was anxious about it and asked a clergy friend of mine for advice. His immediate response was, "Take a bag in with you, put things in it, ask the children to help you by getting things out of the bag, and then go from there." So for the best part of 12 years, this bag contained all sorts of things, as well as the deep theological meaning attached to scissors, string, tin opener, postage stamp, pots, pans, fruits, veg, you name it. Eventually, I didn't have to ask as hands shot up to be my helper or set of helpers. I can remember having to take Anya, a toddler, in a pushchair to St. Buryan's school. As Anya smiled and waved at all her new friends, head teacher Paul Gazard said to me, "You have no chance at all." He was right. However, I hoped that when the children saw one of my items at home or around the village, that they would be reminded once again of God's love for them. Jesus this morning makes the listeners think about soil and seed and the best conditions for the seed to put down roots, then to grow and to blossom. Jesus says, I want the word of God to dwell in you, to put down deep roots within you, for you to grow alive with God's love and peace. So don't be choked by shallowness, by prejudice. Put all fears and worries to one side. Open your heart so that heart can speak to heart, and let my word find a home within you. Then Jesus says, become part of my story, live in its truth, and share its love. So keep well, keep safe, and God bless.